So yeah guys, hello, we're here in Chubbybuddy right now. I'm with the reigning champion, CJ. CJ, what deck are you playing?
The deck that I play with is RP Law.
RP Law. Okay, so we're gonna see his deck profile here real quick. Starting off, go ahead CJ.
So start off, I play 2 copies of Ein. Her effect is on play. I choose one of your opponent's characters and I make their power to 0 until the end of the turn. So it enables me to bottom the big boys more easier than using my race maxes or my Gordons. So next to that is my 4 copies of Ross Zoro. Because in this meta right now, well, obviously RP Law has to be more aggressive. While he can make a board, he can already do like a bunch of rushing. Well,
Does the card come up often ba?
yeah.
Like super often, like your main
super
attacker?
often, yeah.
Okay.
For my ramping cards, I have 3 copies of Ein. Her effect is on play. I can ramp up to 1 Dawn rested. So this card is really good on second turn curve, or it can be used as well as a body on board. After that, she's kind of useless, but she gets the job done.
Okay.
And we are running the new OPO8 Charlotte Pudding.
Ooh, how fast is this card?
This card is a 3 cost, and I would say this card is really fast to ramp because her effect is when I return Dawn back to my Dawn deck, I get to ramp 1 Dawn back as rested. So essentially, when I minus my Dawn, I get back 1 Dawn off it. So it's like I'm minusing 2 instead of 3. So after this, I am running the usual 4 copies of Sachi and Penguin. It's a 4 cost, 5k body, and 2k counter. His effect is on play, if I have 3 or less Dawn, I get to ramp 2 Dawn back as rested. So what this combo can do is, when I play Pudding first and then I can play Sachi next, what I can do is I can activate Pudding first to get back 1 Dawn, and I can activate Sachi to get 2 Dawn back. So as if I'm not losing out on anything while swarming my board. Next is we are going to run Sanji as a 4-off. He's a blocker, 6 cost, and then his effect is if I have 2 or equal less Dawn than my opponent, it gets minus 3 cost, and it's a blocker as well. It's a good card because he's a 2k counter, and then he becomes a body on board, and he's a 6k. So he's good for swinging as well, so it wouldn't be able to hinder myself. And I run 4 copies of Beppo. So Beppo is a 4 cost, 5k body, 1k counter. The effect on play or when attacked, if I have equal or less Dawn than my opponent, I get to ramp back 1 Dawn as active. So with RP Law, I can technically cheat out this card as well, since this card is a 4 cost or less. So this card can be considered as well as one of my ramping cards. Same with Pudding and Shachi Pink. So my main body is my Blocker Kids as a 4-off. So he's a 5 cost, 6k, 1k counter, and blocker with the effect of when I return Dawn, I get to ramp back 1 Dawn as active. It's similar to Pudding, but instead of ramping back 1 Dawn as rested, I get to ramp back 1 Dawn active, so I can just be more aggro with it and then push for more numbers.
So this is what makes this deck.
Yeah, so like
with the pudding and the
the pudding, the Sachis, and the kids. You know, the Eustace kids. Yeah. So, you know, since this is technically quote-unquote budgeted, we're only going for 4 race maxes here instead of any Gordons. The only reason why I don't run Gordons is it's most of the fact that you're running a lot of no counter cards, and then what happens is you struggle when you're having like a dud hand or like it's just dry as hell. So you just run these kinds of cards. So the next one is going to be 4 copies of Getting Killer. So Getting Killer is a 4 cost, 5k body of course, and it's a rusher card similar to Zoro. And what he does is, if my opponent has 2 or less life, this card gets plus 2000 power until the end of turn.
like your main attacker, right?
Yeah, this is my main attacker. This is what I usually spam call when I have it on my hand. And the reason why I can put more pressure into my opponent. So really good card as well. And finally, my draw engine, my 4-off Reiju.
Damn,
So
best card.
yeah, best card. So what Reiju does is, On play, if I have equal or less Dawn than my opponent, and 5 or less cards in hand, I get to draw 2 cards. So it's super good to fill out my hand, and then it's really easy to cheat out this kind of card because you usually reduce Dawn with this leader. So yeah, you won't struggle with that. So this is more of a flex bot, but I run 3 copies of Shiraya still because in my locals, there's still times where this card can really help me out, especially when they try to go for game and then they just
Flex the
So,
art. Flex the art. Yeah.
I pulled the art as well, you know. They're very shiny. Yeah. And we are running 4 Otamas. So Otama's a 2k counter, 1 cost, and then I can choose one of my opponent's characters and I get minus 2000. So because of RP Law's ability to bottom a 3000 or less power, Otama can enable that when their bodies are like 5ks, 4ks, so I can enable to bottom them and then they won't have anything on board. So they have to like recreate that board over and over again. And finally, we run 2 of the Film Law. He's a 5k body, 4 cost, and on play, same with Otama, I can choose one of your opponent's characters and minus 2000. I don't see a lot of people running this because I see that it's a struggle sometimes to run this card, especially that he's just a 1k counter, and then like a lot of people prefer to just run more 2k counters. But to me, he's nice because you have a body on board, and then you can already have access to more minus cards instead of just only on the race max or the Otama. So yeah.
So how does this deck feel for the current opioid meta? How did it fare during the tournaments?
Well, definitely the Swarm is such a huge comeback with it because like it's just super good to be able to flex out all these cards, especially when you get backed on with these kinds of cards, and then you won't really lose out on anything, especially when you have the Reiju. So a lot of rushers as well, and then you got a lot of blockers in this, and with the mix of like minusing cards, yeah, I'm pretty sure this deck is pretty flexible, and with the big boy bodies as well.
So what you can say that RP Law is still top meta boy.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
Thank you, CJ. Thank you, CJ. Thank you for the deck profile, guys. This has been a deck profile here at Chubbybuddy Tacloban, located in MH Del Pilar Street. We'll see you guys next time. If you guys have any suggestions for card games and whatnot, go ahead and put that down in the comment section, and I'll see you around, guys. Bye.